Leads are a product of building a good brand. People contact me because they want to work for me when their roof needs to be replaced.
In marketing, advertising, being different is huge, right?
The faster you can get jobs done, the more effective your jobs will look, and the happier your customers will be, which in turn creates referrals.
What's up, y'all? I'm Mike Stearns with Ascend Digital Agency. We have a spontaneous episode of the Mission Control podcast with our guy, Ben Tiger.
We here
In Buffalo, New York, all the way from Illinois. Welcome.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. That's a nice ensemble you got there.
Just for the occasion, Mission Control podcasts. Figure we had to do it right.
Let's talk Ben Tiger. Why Ben Tiger? Ben Tiger's not your real name, right?
My last name's Morrow. It's not Tiger. When I first started getting into marketing and branding, the more that I could basically name stamp Tiger over everything, the more that the name would come, consistent with roofing. So I changed my last name on Facebook to Benjamin Tiger, started Roof Tiger, obviously, and the rest is history. So here we go.
Put it in the book. Put it in the books, folks. So talk about why Roof Tiger.
The name or the business? My dad called me Tiger when I was a kid. And so Tiger was a natural, naming right to it. I find that 80+% of roofing companies name their company after their last name. And I knew I wanted to be different. So Roof Tiger was born out of wanting to be different from the industry. And so I think in order to scale fast, you need to be unique. And that's what Roof Tiger offers, is something unique. Yeah,
and I think it's an important facet to hit on, is that in marketing, advertising, being different is huge, right?
It is.
100%, it's attention grabbing. You have an interesting take on branding as far as even internally with your employees. What do you guys wear out in the community to really indoctrinate the residents of Peoria and surrounding areas with the brand Roof Tiger?
I want you to put it on the screen right here. It's the Air Nike Presto Tiger Stripe. And so they're Tiger Stripe shoes. And so, it's same thing with my name on Facebook, is to name stamp and to Tiger Stripe everything. As you just said a couple minutes ago, it's like being different is better. And so I know that most people don't do that, so that's why I do it.
Yeah. Do you have, and this is a question that everybody wants to know the answer to, and this is unscripted, right? We haven't talked about what we're going to talk about today, so I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Love it.
Do you have tiger blood coursing through your veins? Always. You heard it here first, folks. Got the tiger blood. So did you have a background in construction and home services? What was what made you think, okay, I want to be in roofing?
I was in the bathroom remodel industry for 3 years and kind of studied how we did business. Shout out to Paul Basso and Shannon Lemie. They're the first guys who gave me a chance at being a sales manager for a remodel company. I knew nothing about bathroom remodel. Came in, basically saw that there was kind of 5 stages to it. It's kind of lead, sale, planning, production, and follow-up. And so I created a company after I left that with Roof Tiger to be exactly the same way, is to kind of follow these 5 steps and to be as refined as possible within each one. And so the faster you can have your employees understand their role in the process and how to hand off from one to another, the faster you can get jobs done, the more effective your jobs will look, and the happier your customers will be, which in turn creates referrals. Along with a strong brand presence, that's the 1-2 punch, is really solid customer service and strong brand presence. That's what I preach.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So while there's, I'm sure, a ton of similarities between the interior renovations and roofing,
yes,
what challenges were you faced at, as far as what you thought in your mind was going to be very similar? Were there any things that came to fruition that you're like, shit, we got to go back to the drawing board with this?
I think finding super good quality subcontractors to work with was a challenge in the first 6 to 8 months.
Sure.
But I think one of the biggest things that people don't understand about strong branding is that people come to you that are really good roofers. And so the more that I branded my company and started to grow, the more that subs would actually reach out to me and say, I want to work for you guys. And then we would treat our subs with the same amount of respect we treat our customers. And it just led to this amazing group of people that we have. Now we have probably 15 or 20 roofers that work for us almost every week, and they're incredible. So that's one of the biggest challenges was finding high quality subs that will take care of your jobs as much as you take care of your customers.
Do you still have to watch over them?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's anything, is you have to keep a good pulse on your business. My dad actually is the one who heads up construction, and he's 64 years old, very hard worker, and he's got an older man presence, which it helps. If I was the one managing crews, I don't think I would have as much of an on-site presence as he does. So it helps to have multi-generational labor too, as he's just a wealth of he's awesome.
Yeah, I can vouch for him. He's great.
Yeah.
So for those that have a fixation on acquisition of new leads and appointments, that's a common theme. I can love working with roofing contractors and wouldn't have it any other way. But I find in general, there's typically an apathy towards branding. Or it's an oversight. Well, that's going to be the next question for you is I don't want to answer the question why, because I don't want to speculate here. But what I want you to do is you've done a very good job with your brand. You're going to be speaking at a conference coming up, the Roofing Process Conference. Go check out my guy, Ben Tiger, at the Roofing Process Conference, and then swing by the Ascend Digital booth while you're there. But you've done a really good job with the branding side and many others, so not to disparage you in those regards. But specific to branding, talk about all the different benefits of branding.
Yeah, it first comes with lead generation. Second comes with people trusting you because they can Google your name. Like when you do something different, so obviously we are Roof Tiger is our business name. We own the keywords Tiger on Google. That's like really important. So if somebody even forgets what our business name is, but remembers that we have Tiger Stripe trucks, if you just Google Tiger, Peoria, Illinois, we'll pop up. So awareness, which turns into trust because our Google profile is really strong. We have 145 5-star reviews. And then it comes to employee retention. People love to work for us, not just because of the brand we've created, but I feel like the brand encapsulates how I treat my people, which is fun, which is respect, which is giving them autonomy over their lives. So leadership retention, and then obviously, so we're growing right now. I just hired 2 more people. They are so excited to work for us. And I think that's because of the perception we've built about our company. And then subcontractors, obviously. I think even customers, even working with us, they're excited to buy a roof from Roof Tiger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a thing where if you work for a generic company, it's just like, I need to get this done. Where I've had many people reach out to me and say, I wish I could buy a roof from you. I've actually heard that being said, which roofs are not cheap and they're not very fun. So that's cool. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're kind of parlaying your brand specific to internally with your team members. You're parlaying your brand with a strong culture, right? And those things kind of play hand in hand.
Yes.
You make yourself a nice peanut butter and jelly sandwich. God, I'm hungry. So what are some of the things that you do to make your team members feel as if, you know what, these aren't just core values that are on the wall. These are the principles that drive Roof Tiger. This is a place that you want to be, and the reason you want to be here is because we care about our customers, we care about you.
Before I answer that, let's go back a step. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Why are your clients so hesitant to dive into branding?
Why are my clients? So I was speaking more at an aggregate level. If we take,
or not your clients, but the industry at whole.
I think it's not as sexy. It does a lot more as far as immediate revenue to get leads now, right? So to paint a picture of what branding is going to do for you, it's not that shot in the arm. It's not quantifiable. People like to be able to put into a spreadsheet or into their CRM, run a report and say, hey, this was the output financially for these efforts, and this is what came back as a result of that. And I'm the same way. I'm a big data guy, right? because I like to be able to prove what we're doing and what impact it's having on a company.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with branding to the same degree, right? It works. We know that it works. I mean, just do it, right? Aha, right? Have it your way, right? A couple catchphrases where everybody knows what that triggers in your mind, but it's far less easy to demonstrate the impact financially that it's having on your company, and it takes longer. It takes consistency. You have to be incredibly focused on brand consistently to develop that brand equity. You do it, right? Down to your guys wearing the Nike Prestos, making sure that your team members are in their proper get up so that when they're out on lunch even and they see 5 guys in Roof Tiger apparel, it's like, aha.
Yes.
And then they see the Tiger Stripe truck or Tesla, right?
Yes. I totally agree with that, Mike. And it's a commitment to a long-term business building process where I think a lot of people want the short steroid in the arm to say, I want to be a big business fast.
Right.
What people don't realize is that roofing companies go in and out like night and day. Companies start up and shut down all the time. So to truly build wealth and to truly build a business that's respected, you need to do it over a period of time. I think in time frames of 10 years, quite literally. And I'm in year 2 right now, just starting into year 3. And so I'm not thinking 10 months. I do things in the 10-day interim to prepare for 10 years. Like I create content now to build my brand for a 10-year period, right? But I don't want leads are not my focus. Does that make sense? Leads are a product of building a good brand. People contact me because they want to work for me when their roof needs to be replaced. That is far more valuable to me than just going to get leads. You guys out there, if I could, if you're buying leads from Home Advisor, from Angie's List, from all these other places, it might work for you, but I can guarantee you my aggregate cost per lead is way less because you're buying those at a premium. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I compare it to you've got 2 runners running a marathon, half marathon, 5K, you name the distance, and one's running at a 15-degree incline, and then one's running on flat terrain. Which one's going to finish quicker? Which one's going to have a harder time? The guy running up a pitch slope, it's going to be much harder for him to compete with the guy that's running on a flat terrain, right? And that's kind of what it is, because the devil's advocate in me could say, well, Ben, it's not as if I can't be successful. I feel as if you start a roofing company, AAAABBB roofing, which I don't think you would say by conventional measures would be a strong branding opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would argue that I can make that brand successful through the right digital marketing. The caveat to that is, how memorable can that be? How can we make that long-term stick into people's head to where we beat them over the head with that brand? Are they going to remember AAAABBB roofing, or are they going to remember Roof Tiger? And I think it's an easy answer to say that Roof Tiger is going to be more memorable. And it has serious long-term implications, because if you talk about, you said a 10-year plan, if we even fast forward 3 years and somebody saw a piece of Roof Tiger content where it was just tiger stripes everywhere, you got a personality,
right,
versus, just a regular piece of content with a roofing contractor that, especially on like social media, people are less likely to care about roofing in general, no matter how good your brand is. Now, you can find ways to make them intrigued by it, and that's by way of personality with the brand. But I think you really have to cater to that short-term, quick attention span, because people don't pay attention for very long.
It's true. Do you know what the approval rating of contractors is?
What do you mean approval rating?
Approval rating of trustworthy rating of National Gallup polls of people who trust the name of a contractor.
No.
What would you guess? I just looked this up 3 days ago.
The percentage of homeowners that trust?
Yes. The percentage of people who say, I trust contractors.
I would say it's right around the same percentage of contractors that say they trust marketers.
Which is how much?
18%.
You're exactly right. It's 82% of people do not.
I hit the nail on the head.
On the head. I think it's
no bullshit.
This is like a study. I'm not kidding. This is a study from like 2003, so this might have changed a little bit, but 82% of homeowners found that they do not trust contractors. So think about that if you're trying to just get leads, quick business, if you just started your business, you're like, I need a shot in the arm, I need to go get people to trust me. If you're not starting with a foundation of brand equity and brand quality, you'll be either out of business quickly or people will not trust you. Off the cuff, you have to build the trust of consumers because automatically you're starting out at a disadvantage. Do you get that?
I do get that.
As a marketer, you probably does.
Now, I'm not a roofer, right? I've never owned a construction roofing company. But let me ask you this. In a business where seemingly, especially in the infancy stage, where cash flow is so monumental to keep going and to stay open and not to fall into that statistics of this percentage of roofers fail in the first 3 years.
Sure.
How do you balance the need to get leads now and then concurrently at the same time start building that brand equity?
You have to start with a brand at first, because if you go door to door, for instance, and you want to build, your business by door to door, which I have no shame, I did it in the beginning of my business as well. When you do that, they're going to Google your name and say, what's this person and company all about? If you don't have at least some kind of foundation of an office, of a website, of some kind of genesis of your business, why would they trust you to sign a contract? If you're just a Joe Schmo off the streets, it's like, I have to do research. So many people nowadays, what's the statistic of people Googling something before they purchase? Do you know that?
I don't, but it's
really high. So I'll have to look that up after this. The percentage of people that Google something and find out the legitimacy of it before they purchase is high, especially with a $10,000 average contract. So build your brand to start with. You can spend, not too much money, but spend a little bit of money on your brand at first, and then go out and door knock, create lead opportunities, get your first customer, take great care of them, rinse and repeat until you can grow to a sustainable place of getting Google reviews where you're over 10, 20, 30, 50, 100.
What is your process for reviews? Because you've done a good job.
Yeah.
Right? Making sure you're amassing reviews on a consistent basis. How many reviews are you at now?
145.
Yeah, 145.
Yep.
What has been the most successful approach? Because I think in general, a lot of contractors do struggle with getting their customers motivated. They can have the happiest customers in the world, but getting them motivated to take that action. So what have you done that's different from most that has allowed you to mobilize your customers to make sure that they're expressing to the world on Google how great their experience was?
It's a 3-step process. Step number 1, hey, Mike, would you do me a huge favor? This is via text. Hey, Mike, would you do me a huge favor?
Yes.
Perfect. At this point, he's already finished the job. He already likes it. And then I explain the pitch. The pitch is this. We get a ton of business from Google reviews. If I sent you a link to my Google review page, could you fill it out for me?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Copy the share link from your Google profile, paste it in a text message, send it off. 3 steps. You do it in succession within a 2-minute conversation via text. And at that moment, they're already on their phone. They're already right there. So if they tap on the link right there, bam, you got it. That's how we do it.
Yeah, that's really good. Usually what I recommend is like a project manager while they're walking through the QC process with the homeowner face to face. Really the same thing. Get a commitment as far as they're willing to help you. Can you do me a solid? Right? I usually tell them too, try to incite some sort of excitement, because like roofs innately to a homeowner isn't super exciting, right? Like they might be like, oh, that looks great, but it's not like that new pair of Yeezys they just bought or that brand new truck they just got, right?
Correct.
There's not going to be that same level of fuck yes. So I usually tell them, like, try to create some sort of excitement, right? And make sure that they're happy, get them excited about it, then get that commitment in some capacity. Hey, would you do us a favor? And then share the link with them, because and this is great that you haven't seen this. I find that a lot of people, when they're doing the text messaging, they get the commitment, they say they're going to do it, they don't do it.
Yeah, I follow up.
Okay.
I follow up. I'll even, if you just go back in a text message, on an iPhone, how you can highlight a text and press a thumbs up.
Yeah. Passive aggressive.
I do that
with Ben Tiger.
But I do that.
Yeah.
But here's why. They said they would.
Right.
So at that point, I'm not being too forward. I'm just saying, hey, man, just reminding you.
I like that.
Yeah. But I think this is kind of an undervalued thing. When you first ask, can you do me a favor? and they don't know what you're asking and they say yes. That's a big thing because they're committing to it once. Yeah. Then you send them the review question and they say, yes, I'll do that. Then you send them the review. So they've made 2 commitments to you. Then you send the review and bam, you should get it back from there. And by this point, guys, you're not forcing somebody to do something that they don't like to do. They obviously like your business and paid their bill. Therefore, they enjoyed the process. Therefore, hey, could you do me a huge favor?
Yeah, that's good.
You know?
Do you guys get any opportunities off of Facebook community groups within Peoria or the surrounding areas?
I get tagged in a lot of them with other people that I've built brands with. So in the beginning, when I first started the brand, I bought like 50 T-shirts and starting just shipping them out to the community, to other people. I would post them on Facebook and say, hey, who wants a T-shirt? A lot of people would comment. I would send them out. I would build brand loyalty, and therefore in those Facebook groups that I don't live in Morton, Illinois, but if I sent a T-shirt to someone that lives in Morton, they would then tag me in posts if somebody said, I'm looking for a roofer. So it's like building salesmen almost on the internet.
Yeah.
Like a fleet of tigers.
Like a streak.
A streak!
A streak, yes. A streak is like a herd of tigers. That's the name dedicated to tigers.
The New York Giants are turning it up.
Oh, snap.
2020.
Watch out, Rodgers. So, have you ever invited any of your happy customers when they give you that 5-star review into those community groups?
No, that'd be smart. No, I have not.
Okay.
Good idea.
That's what I'm here for.
I'm not a part of the groups themselves. They just tag me in them. And then sometimes they'll show my notifications and I'll respond to it and say, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. We've grown to a point where I don't really need to go scalping for, Facebook.
Scalping?
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not scraping the barrel for leads right now.
Of course.
Not that those are bad things, but in the beginning, I was responding to every single Facebook post, Mike. I'm talking everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And now it's like to the point where I'm really responding to the ones people really want to work with us, right? Because we're to that point now, which is great.
Do you foresee bringing on more salespeople as you continue to grow the business?
Yes, I do.
Is it a plan of yours to make sure that they maintain that personal touch on social media? Like, will that be a part of their sales activities? Or
it's really my job.
Okay.
Some people, my VP of sales, Adam Cole, shout out. He's really good at that too. Washington's a very affluent, good area for roofing. So he lives there. And so he's involved in several groups that he'll actually comment on. And so, yeah, I think that's a smart thing to do is have all your staff involved. But at the same time, you don't want to burden them with social media responsibility if they're busy doing their job. So I find that I do a lot of that myself if I can.
Gotcha. What is one of the biggest challenges that you've had since the formation of Roof Tiger / Solar Panther?
Survival. You guys know, if you're a roofer, how intense cash flow situations can be. Where you're constantly purchasing and money's going out the back door. You get a big check, you get a big bankroll, and then all of a sudden it goes right out the back door. So you're constantly dealing with cash flow. One of the biggest things that's helped us is getting a credit card. It took us over a year and a half to get one because of our, you just need to build long-term credit rating with Duns & Bradstreet. But yeah, once we got a credit card that had a high limit, and then we could charge our materials and stuff to a credit card, it helped us with cash flow like a lot. So that's a big part of why we're succeeding now is managing credit well.
Yeah, I think that is critical.
It is, man.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where there's so many, like if you go from a position of sales into a position of ownership, leadership, there is a lot. And I know this from experience, and you've taken a similar route, it sounds like, where you went from sales, now I'm starting a business, and there's many more people out there, and hopefully many of them that'll be watching this. There are a lot of things, right, that you miss or just are ignorant to when you start that business.
Yes.
As far as the inner workings of a company, costs, how you're going to facilitate certain outcomes for different things, who you're going to choose to run your credit cards with, right, from your customers. How much are they going to charge you? Is it a fair rate or are there better rates? And like shopping those things aren't easy, right? Yeah. And the most fun part about it is when you're trying to, let's say, get a merchant account so that you can conduct credit card transactions, so you can make your services more accessible to your target market. You're starting a business, you're in month 1, And, well, we need 18 months worth of bank statements.
Yeah.
I started 3 days ago.
And your first child.
Yeah.
And a box of donuts to go along with it. You're like, bro.
I mean, that was one of our biggest struggles when I started.
Yeah.
It was
super tough.
Because we used Square, I think. And,
it's like 4 or 5%.
Yeah. And want to know what's great about it was, as we talked about, I guessed the 18% credibility factor. And I don't know how I got that right, but yeah, I'm going to pat myself on the back because that was awesome. That I mentioned it's the same for marketing companies as it relates to roofing contractors or anybody really. People don't trust marketing companies because there's a lot of shitty marketing companies that do unsavory things. So what we were running into was I would have a meeting with a prospective client. They would decide, you know what, Ascend is for me. We're going to do it. Then I would run the credit card transaction. And because it was keyed in remotely, and because it was out of state, every time it was getting hit as fraud. So you've got somebody on high alert already that doesn't trust marketing companies. We've gained their trust through experience and showing, results and through social proof of what people are saying about us. But then all of a sudden they get a notification from their bank that this is a fraudulent activity. How off-putting would that be to you as a consumer?
Big time.
Yeah. So, if you go to charge one of your credit cards for your customers and like, this is fraud, you're like, yeah, I'm good. So that was very challenging. So I think that, that's good insight, man. And just spend time, I would say invest time consistently in trying to refine your business, right? And as that relates to the manufacturers that you're using, the supply houses that you're using, the crews that you're using, and I'm not saying this in a way to like be disloyal to people that have been good to you, but there's a lot of times where you've got these kind of tenured relationships with manufacturers that I see, and they're not being as great to you as you thought that they were, right? 3 years down the road, and you're like, well, this dude's getting materials for this, right? I'm paying how much more per square? This is wild, right? So I think it's one of the beauties of capitalism, right? Is the competitive nature of it, and keeping people honest.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. I have a very good relationship with ABC, and I use them for 95, 96% of our orders. But once a year, at the beginning of the year, I bring quotes from other suppliers and say, give me your best shot. I'll look into it, and I bring it back to ABC. And if they're beaten, I'll tell them, and they'll match the price or go lower. And so I'm not going anywhere probably from ABC unless something really screws up. Yeah. But I'm still price matching them to other competitors.
Trust but verify.
Trust but verify. And they know that because I have a business to run. The employees at my ABC store are not running the books like I run my books.
Right.
ABC has billions of dollars probably, in bankroll.
Sure.
I don't. Therefore, I'm going to be holding you to a higher standard, right?
Yeah.
Because if my business has a bad quarter or a bad 6 months, I have a lot of personal families that I have to look after. And so that's like weighing in my mind when I go to work each day. So making those business deals negotiations is super valuable.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So you recently had, and I mean, you're still a young business, right?
Yes.
Your growth is tremendous, and I have all the confidence in the world that you're going to take over Illinois sooner than later. But you had kind of an anomaly happen in an area kind of right next to Peoria.
Yes.
And you had a hailstorm.
Yes.
And you guys are retail to the core.
We are retail. We do understand the insurance industry, but we don't door knock for insurance. We're not storm chasing. We know how to handle insurance companies. We use balance claims for like Xactimate write-ups. And so we understand how the game is played, but we are not like a $10 million plus storm chaser. That's not our business model.
Prior to the storm that you guys got, which by companies that work predominantly storm, I'm sure it would be viewed as a very small storm.
Yes. 8,000 homes got impacted.
Okay. So prior to that storm, what percentage of your business had gone through an insurance claims process?
30%.
30%?
Yeah, I'd say roughly.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you've got experience in it. Like, how big was that experience in capitalizing on the opportunity that the storm presented?
I'll answer this question exactly how Mike kind of started the conversation, which is through branding. So August 19th, the storm fell. All these out-of-state contractors flood into Washington, Illinois. I mean, everybody and their mother was like, let's...
How many people live in Washington, Illinois?
It's 15,000.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not a very big town, right? But seriously, a bunch of out-of-state contract up north, Chicago, Iowa. I mean, a lot of people came into town looking to capitalize on the storm. Washington, Illinois has a no door knocking policy. People can't door knock. So guess what people did? They went to Google. By Monday, the storm happened on a Saturday. By Monday, I had 135 calls that had been rang into Roof Tiger. So that is the power of branding, that 135 people called us literally 2 days after the storm. And we ended up selling over $1 million in the month of September from it.
So you're in your third full year right now?
We just started our third year.
Right.
Yes.
So second full year, what did you do in revenue?
Well, it's kind of hard to start. I started in August, which is a bad idea because you were coming up on winter. Things you don't know until you do it. Started in August. Basically from August, I think, to December, we did like 200,000, 250, 300,000. Then the first full year, January to December, we did 2.6 million. And I think we're right now through year end 2022, we're at 4.1, trending toward 5 million.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Are you going to keep that percentage of year-over-year growth coming into 23? No. You got to have the right expectation, folks, with your customers and with yourself.
This is what I'll tell people, though. It's not about how much you can make top-line revenue. It's about how much you can keep. And it's also about what you want, the lifestyle you want to live. And I don't want to buy boats and live in mansions. I don't. I never had that intention. I want to enjoy my life. I want to love my kids. I want to have a house that I love to live in. And I want to build a business with my friends and family. Like, that was the goal from the beginning. So I can do that based off of a $4 million budget, no problem. And that's what our goal is going to continue to be, probably is 4 to 5 million. If I spike a year and have a hailstorm come into town, hey, I'll go for it. But I think it's really important for new business owners to understand what your goals are. And my goals are very clearly kind of ingrained in my mind of a number.
I like that.
Yeah.
How important was it to parlay an effective Google strategy in the beginning of your business with the brand that you created?
Very, very important. People buy roofing. Okay, just think about this with me, guys. If you are someone who moves into a new city, let's say you're from Connecticut and you move to New York. Okay, you're in New York City now, or you're in New York. You don't know any roofers. You've never networked with a roofer. Where are you going to go to find one?
AskJeeves.com.
Yeah. Ask Jeeves is correct. 99.999% of the time you're going to go to Google and type in roofers near me, roof replacement near me. You see what I'm saying? It's just, it's like commonplace now, guys. That's where people go. So you want to focus on Google, number 1, 2, and 3 for your online strategy. Obviously build a website that ranks highly on there, and then brand well. I call it kind of a, if you think about this, Mike, this is going to be good. Kind of a land, air, and sea type branding method. Okay. So land would be truck wraps. Yeah. Okay. Yard signs. Yeah. Truck wraps, yard signs. If you want to get a retail space, get a retail space.
Nike Prestos.
That's exactly right. Okay. Nike Prestos. Yeah. The C is going to be more of like your internet. I think I forgot this. Air. Air is going to be your internet strategy. So anything in the ether, your internet stuff. And then your C is going to be content creation, the letter C.
Ooh.
You like that?
Yeah.
You like
good.
that?
That's good.
Content creation is going to be your X factor. So if you have those 3 things, that's going to make up for a very valuable brand. So land, air, and sea.
That's interesting. So let's talk about content.
Let's do it.
As we sit here and shoot content.
Yes.
It's important.
Yep.
But it's a challenge.
A lot of time.
It's a lot of time. How have you effectively kept up the volume of the content that you've put out from day one to now? How has that changed? Yeah. What kind of shortcuts? I'm not a big fan of shortcuts because they're usually at the expense of something else.
Quality or something.
But there are workarounds that can make you more efficient where you don't lose something. So let's talk about how you've managed to do that, because I think there's a lot to be learned if you can drop some nuggets, if you're willing.
Sure, of course. I network with the local college, local university, and I have 2 interns. Shout out to Izzy and Morgan. They handle all our social media now. They work 1 day a week, 1 day every Friday. In the summertime, Izzy works for me full-time, pumping out content all the time to try to future plan for content creation. And so that's our plan, is really we hired somebody specifically to do it. Interns are hungry for experience, and they're typically pretty cheap labor. We pay them $15 an hour, and they're worth every penny of it because they work exceptionally hard. So, but in exchange for that, I'm giving them real life experience. They can give them views, potentially people purchasing things from us that they can put on their resume to get real jobs after they graduate. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, and it's genius. I shot content about 6 months ago. I just put the first clip of it out about 2 weeks ago. And I was at an Airbnb in Pittsburgh. And you have a lot of people that struggle with the content side of things, and whether it's, getting viable video or nice project like in production shoots and things like that. And I'm like, whenever you're trying to come up with a solution, there's always that problem, and like, who can help solve that problem? It's the same thing that you're trying to convince your homeowners of when it's like, hey, buy a roof from us, right?
Of course.
So there's a lot of different things you can do to cure that woe of content creation, but if you think about your local communities and the colleges that are within, I can tell you from personal experience, and many other college grads can tell you the same thing. One of the biggest challenges that they have when they get out of college, they're just completely inundated with debt, right? So that's very nerve-wracking. And
no experience.
Dude, a 4-year degree now is what a GED was 25 years ago. I mean, it doesn't separate you from the pack, and they don't have any real-world experience.
Skill sets.
Yeah, it's like, okay, great. You've got a 3.7, 3.8, and you were on the dean's list, but so do the other 47 people that applied for this position.
Correct.
What have you done? Right? So now if they can create a portfolio of work as far as demonstrating what they, in practical terms, not just in theory, what they've done, that's incredibly valuable. So if you reach out to a local college of any kind, you can Google colleges near me, go to the staff pages, and it's usually going to be the arts department.
I target marketing students.
Marketing?
Yeah.
So,
marketing.
for the video side that we were just talking about, it's typically arts, yes. But marketing, if they have a marketing department, like 100%.
Yes.
And just you can email any one of those teachers that are listed on the faculty page. Their email's usually right there. They have a direct phone number there. And just explain to them, like, we're looking for someone to help with this. Mm-hmm. We want to look to help kids in the community first. And we know the struggle that they face post-graduation, so we think this would be a really good fit, and we would love to bring somebody on as part of our team, whether it be an internship, or a lot of the times these professors have relationships with students after they graduate.
Yes.
Right? So maybe it's something where you're looking for somebody full-time, and they can facilitate that. It's just a form of networking that I think a lot of people miss out on, and there's a ton of talent out there.
There is
to be had.
I think that's kind of a second level solution. I started out doing all the content myself. To kind of answer your question, if I was talking to a new roofer right now that just started 3 months ago, do not overthink your content. Get on your phone and post. Just post. Just see what happens, and you'll see how valuable it is. I appreciate guys who are not creative, who don't consider themselves creative. They probably are, but they don't consider themselves to be. They're not well spoken. They don't want to get on camera. You guys, people want to hear from you. They do. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what you think, people want to hear from you. So you don't even have to go as far as hiring an intern in the beginning. Do your content yourself and just post a small video of yourself once a day, a picture of your staff once a day, a picture of your office, a picture of your truck. Do something that creates content for your business, because if you're not, nobody will know who you are if you don't put yourself out there.
That's a really good point. And as much as it's great to have like cinematic quality video, there's something to be said about the authenticity of fucking sitting there on an iPhone up on a roof talking about what neighborhood and what it looks like from the bird's eye view.
Yes.
And I've seen like posts, ads, etc. get more engagement on those selfie videos, right? As opposed to somebody that can spend $5,000 having a crew out to shoot an entire production, right?
I've done that. I've done highly produced videos. They didn't cost me a bunch of money, but cost me a bunch of time that like nobody saw. And I was like, if I post a video of me in a tire truck talking smack about something that I don't like, calling somebody a turkey, it gets a ton of play. So like, why not do that more, right? Of just like being real and being human. And I think people relate to being human.
Yeah.
We're all human, right?
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to the highly processed version of ourselves.
Sure. Yeah. So in social strategy, one of the things are like create a series. So you've got an interesting series that you said you've started recently.
Yep.
Let's. What is it called? Why is it called that? And what is it?
It's called Tiger or Turkey. Okay. Let me explain something to you guys, okay? Do you know what the percentage of what you remember through a talk or through a presentation of information to yourself? What percentage of the data that's presented to you do you remember?
23%.
15. The answer is 15. 85% of what you're hearing right now through this video, you will not remember. You will take away 15%.
That's why we'll follow up with a shit ton of YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels.
Precisely. So smaller content is good. But when you categorize something as something else, sneak peek, this is going to be what my talk in Vegas is going to be about. When you categorize something as something else, it's called like labeling. When you label something, people remember it a lot faster.
What's the percentage on it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's something like on 30 or 40 when you tell stories. Storytelling, I think, has a remembrance rate of like 30 to 40% versus just fact telling, which is 15. So think with me. If I call something a tiger versus a turkey, you'll remember that because it's so bizarre. You'll be like, what did he say? And you might see a tiger at the zoo, and you'll be like, what was that one guy who talked about the one thing that one time? It's me. It's recalling in your brain.
Right.
If I call somebody a turkey, and you sit down for Thanksgiving and eat a turkey leg, you're going to be like, that turkey, it's labeling. Who is the best at doing this? Donald Trump. What is Nancy Pelosi's name?
I don't know politics.
You don't know that? He labels everybody a certain name. I probably shouldn't be talking about like this politics, but he labels people certain things, like Lion Ted Cruz. That was a big thing. Like Sleepy Joe Biden. He labels people these things, and it catches on, and people will remember that, and they actually will identify that person by that moniker. It's kind of like a nickname that you got when you were a kid that nobody remember, that everybody remembers. Yeah.
Mine was Watermelon Head.
Did people actually call you that?
Oh yeah. So the head that you see on my shoulders now was
Say it
on.
again.
It's like I had to grow into it.
Yep.
I still have a big head.
Yep.
But my body was 1/3 the size.
Yes.
And I was just like a bobblehead, right?
Yes.
So melon head for short. Watermelon
Yes.
head. Fun fact.
It's the same thing with your brand, Mike. Ascend. You have a rocket ship.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things like the Mission Control podcast you can co-brand along with your brand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If your company name was Stearns Marketing, you can't do that.
Right.
There's nothing you can do to co-brand Stearns Marketing except for something that's personal to you. Ascend, a rocket ship, is an object that's universal to everyone, and you can brand it across anything. Mission Control podcast. We're both wearing spacesuits. Are you guys getting this? I do Tiger Stripe stuff, and I call my roofing Ferocious Roofing, yeah? Tiger Den podcast, right? Untamed energy for my solar side of the business. It's the same thing. You can co-brand so many different things when it's an objective object versus your company name being your last name.
Yeah, that utility is a lot of fun to play
Utility,
with.
that's a good word. Utility, yes.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So let's talk about the solar side.
Yeah.
What made you get into solar? Roofing was going well. Yeah. You guys had significant growth from your first 4 months to your next full year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all right, we're not satiated. We're going to go into solar, something brand new to us.
It wasn't brand new to me. Me and another employee, Chris Olson, we've both been in the solar industry since like 2017. Oh. So it's been a few years. The state of Illinois has a very large state incentive to its homeowners in Illinois. So it's a very popular product where we are in Chicago. So that's why I started it, is the growth of the industry.
Is that the SREC?
SREC. Yeah, State Renewable Energy Credit.
Steel trap.
Steel trap.
Steel trap. What's one piece of advice that you would give overall to a new roofing company? We've discussed a ton, right? And there's a lot more to be discussed at some future point. Yes. But if gun to your head, you had one thing that you could give somebody that's saying, you know what, I'm taking the leap and I'm going to open my own roofing business tomorrow. What's one piece of advice?
Brand it right the first time. Take your time in branding your company. Do not start something called Jones Roofing and then 6 months later have to change it. Think long and hard before you name your company. It's the biggest decision you'll make.
Okay.
Because that utility that we just talked about doesn't come back. If you create it from the beginning, you will see exponential growth because people will remember your brand easier.
What's one piece of advice of something they absolutely should not do or to avoid in the early stages of starting their roofing business?
Another thing you have to do is wrap your truck. For sure, wrap your truck day one. Don't wait. Day one, wrap your truck.
Try to work it out with your manufacturer to where they'll help
you. They'll pay for it.
It's called co-op advertising.
Co-op advertising. They will pay for it. What do not do? Let me think here. Be careful and count your pennies. I think I was a little bit too liberal in the beginning of spending money. It worked out in the long term because we survived and we're doing well now. But I think I spent too much money on stuff that did not matter in the beginning.
What are some of those things?
Software, stuff that I didn't need. I bought some stuff that just I used one time and spent a lot of money. It's just silly. If you talk to a roofing company who's successful, ask them what software they use and do it the first time and just do it that way. I think I bought a couple CRMs that didn't work out and then ultimately moved to AccuLynx where I'm at now.
How do you like AccuLynx?
I love it.
Yeah. So utilize resources around you. I would also say while I'm a big proponent of networking and gaining from other people's history, right? Because if I can cut down my learning curve by virtue of talking to somebody who's been there and done that.
Saves time, saves money.
It's a really good thing, right? Be cautious as well of who you're taking advice from. I think that's equally important, right?
Yes.
Be resourceful, but also be cautious. Everybody sells the best version of themselves, and like people like to feel like their opinion matters and that they're a professional on subject matter A, B, or C. And there are a lot of people that are, but there's a lot more people that aren't. Mm-hmm. And if you take advice from the wrong people, it can land you in a really shitty spot.
Honestly, man, I've learned probably more than anyone personally. I've learned through YouTube. It's just YouTubing. I listen to various different opinions of people in the roofing industry, and we'll take bits and pieces from everybody. I think everybody's got something to offer, a piece of truth. But YouTube and just watch videos when you're up at night. It's very valuable to watch content and consume and then implement in your business.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people on YouTube. This is going to be on YouTube for that reason, right? There's a ton of opportunity. What questions do you have for me, Ben?
We need to leave and get wings soon. It's 12:25.
We've got Mrs. Stearns going to pick them up.
Is she really? At 12:30?
That's the kind of guy.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Dude.
Shout out to Lacey.
Let's go. Wing nuts.
I'm excited. I'm in Buffalo. There's a newer place called Wing Nuts. They were on Barstool. Ben wants to have his buffalo wings for the first time. We'll follow up with a piece of content on that. We're going to get him to rate them. Yeah. One bite. Everyone knows the rule. Can't
say that. Yeah, it's trademark.
Everybody knows the rules with a Z?
No, can't say it. Trademark.
One taste.
No. Blast off with these wings in your mouth.
So we'll make sure that there's a link to Barstool inciting their turn of phrase there.
Yeah. Question for you, Mike. I'd say, what's the biggest thing you've learned about the roofing industry, having worked with roofers for your career here?
The need for systems and processes.
Expand.
Yeah. So. And you can relate this to like lead intake. You can relate this to production, post-production, marketing, advertising, sales. Like it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, like, if you're running a business, you could have the best of intentions, but if you don't have a clearly defined path with clearly set expectations for your team members, and you just expect them to do what's in your head and what you've told them, that shit's not going to get done.
I've done that before. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No. Never works. And there might be an exception, but I haven't seen it.
No.
Right? So
right.
I think that's one of the biggest things is like get the shit out of your head, right? Because if you start running your own business, you've got all these answers and it's great and you're doing well, and then you start hiring people. And then, there's an expectation that they're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F. You got to put it on paper. You got to create a system of how you want these things to happen.
Real quick, breaking news. The New York Giants are beating the Green Bay Packers 27-22 right now.
Hot damn.
What is happening?
Wild.
So yes, I agree with process. Packers clearly didn't have their process down today, bro.
Danny Dimes out there doing his thing. So, the follow-up to that of the systems and processes is effective management. Stay with us, Ben.
Sorry.
The follow-up to that is the effective management of those systems and processes. So once you get the systems and processes in place, it's not just like your crew, right? Like you don't bring a crew in and have them do jobs and then just tell them where to be and never check the job, right? Like you have to manage them. It's your job as a leader to manage or to delegate somebody else to manage your team members to make sure things are going to be done correctly. Trust but verify.
I would assume that most people watching this or that starting their businesses are roofers.
Yes.
And they would categorize themselves as roofers. Mm-hmm. I am not a roofer, guys. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to, if I could just give you a visual, I want to build a machine and I want to be the guy just fixing the machine that breaks down. What I am not is a guy who goes out and does the roofing. That's not what you are anymore. If you open up a business, you are not a roofer anymore. You're an entrepreneur. It's a big jump in your mindset to say, I'm not pounding the hammer to nail. And even if you are pounding the hammer to nail, you have a lot more responsibility now with taxes, with insurance, with marketing, with you name it. You are not a roofer anymore. You're an entrepreneur.
That's a really good point.
Come on, bro.
Come on. Bring the heat.
That's good.
He's just trying to help you all take off.
Define yourself as an entrepreneur because that's what you are, and it will change your mindset to actually be the person behind the scenes, like Mike is saying, build the process or the machine, and then be the one holding people accountable to that process. That's what a leader does.
Give me a tough question.
You're 34 right now.
I'm 34 right now.
At 40, do you still see yourself running this company in this way, or do you see future changes that are going to happen that are going to take it to a different direction?
I like that.
Loaded question.
I like that.
That's a question.
Yeah, there will be changes, right? I think in business you have to embrace change. You have to, because if not, somebody else will, and you'll become irrelevant sooner than later.
Yeah, especially in your space.
Yes.
Yours is far more technologically savvy than mine.
100%. And I lean into change every chance I can get, as far as like updating our SOPs, as far as implementing new softwares, and just consistently being able to provide the best results as a result of staying up to task.
Yes.
The extent and the magnitude of those changes, they vary all the time, and I'm sure they will over the next 6 years. But as far as like our core principles and what we do, like that's not going to change. So we're never going to be the company that you call and you want, us to slap together a website and you want to spend, a few $100 a month on marketing. It's just not us. And there's a lot of agencies out there that will help you with that, and that's fine. But like the way that I tell people is like, what we do is we're custom home builders, right? Like think about the website side. We build custom homes, and we're always going to be custom home builders, right? We're going to have these blueprints. They're going to be modified, or we're going to create new blueprints, and then we're going to have GCs facilitating the entire process and make sure that home comes out exactly how you want it. Everything to the T, every nook and cranny is just how you design it, so that kitchen that your wife's always wanted, it's exactly how we drew it up, and it's beautiful, and people are impressed. They walk in your house, they're like, holy shit, dude, who built this thing?
Yes.
Right? Like, that's so important. That's what I want for our customers. When prospects come to their website, that's the feeling that I want.
Yes.
Right? And I think it's really important because that trust factor that's not apparent with most homeowners when it relates to contractors.
Yep.
That first impression, when they land on that site, it's really, really important.
Super important.
So, like, that's never going to go away. We're never going to be the cheapest company that offers cheap services, because in my mind, like, the reality of the situation is people have very healthy ambitions with their business. And with those healthy ambitions usually comes a pretty ambitious marketing spend and advertising spend to actualize those dreams that you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're working in the digital real estate space.
Mm-hmm.
You're a digital home builder. I like that analogy. That's good.
Thank you.
But in the beginning of your business, Mike, you had to start somewhere. You were not charging what you do now back then.
Sure.
It's the same thing with roofing. I am not charging now what I did back then. There's a place to start, and you have to start somewhere and get on the books with somebody so you can start building a reputation as a trustworthy individual. So don't be so concerned about pricing and profit margins at the very beginning, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think you need to get reputation over everything and start by becoming really good at your craft. Your craft is building websites. My craft is providing amazing customer experience. So don't be so caught up in making money year one. You might lose money. That's okay. If you've built a reputation as a trustworthy contractor, you're on the right path.
I like that.
Yeah.
And we'll leave y'all with that. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben
Let me
Tiger.
put my feet up after that convo, dude.
Look at those legs.
See you guys.
You need some sun. Hey, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Ben, thanks for coming. We're about to take off. We're going to the moon, baby.
To the moon.
All right.
Woo!